Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. So in today's class we are going to discuss about the very shorts in the second year. Okay, so we have completed the long answer question, short answer question and very short answer question in the first year. Okay, we have completed everything clearly, and we are there are some of the chapters we are going to cover only with respect to the very shorts. Okay, and all other Romans have been completed. Now in today's class we are going to finish it off. Okay, in today and tomorrow's class we are going to finish off the entire portion. Okay, now we are going to discuss about the immune system very short answer question. Okay, so the first question will be, define the terms immunity and immune system. Okay, so you should know what is meant by immunity. Immunity in the sense someone is going to enter into our body and our body will not sit and watch. Okay, and our body will fight against that particular organism, whatever it may be even dust. Okay, if any dust enter into our body we tend to sneeze. This is immunity. Okay, see, if anything outside, from the outside of the body, from the environment, if it is enter into our body, that is considered as a antigen, and against this antigen, if our body synthesizing a protein, that is called as an antibody. Okay, antigen is fighting antibody is fighting against the antigen, and antibody is synthesized in our body. Okay, see here, immunity, the ability of a body to resist infection and toxins, whatever it is, it may be a protein thing. Okay, so the protein which is foreign to our body. Okay, so that has been eliminated from our system. Okay, so those system which is fighting against this particular antigen is called as an immune system. Okay, see, there is a biggest difference between this. It's not a big difference between the word immunity and immune system. It is a slight difference. The ability of a body to resist the infection is called as an immunity, and the entire system, the cells and the tissues and the organs which are involving in the immunity process, the entire system, we are calling them as an immune system. Okay, see here, the immunity means the ability of a body to resist infection and toxins. Okay, the immune system, the network of cells, tissues, organs, and defend the body against the pathogens, and this is called as an immune system. Okay, so this is the first question, and the second question will be, write the names of any 4 mononuclear phagocytes. Okay, see here, they have asking 4 mononuclear phagocytes, and you should know here we are having 5 different types of WBC. Okay, so basically in the blood cells. Okay, so in the blood cells we are having 3 different types of blood cells. We know that RBC, WBC and platelets. RBC have the function of carrying the oxygen with the help of the pigment called the hemoglobin, and the platelets are involving in blood coagulation process. Okay, and the WBC, and again they can be classified into 2. One is agranulocytes and other one is granulocytes. Okay, so in the agranulocytes they can classified into 3. Okay, one is neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils. So in the granulocytes we have 2 different types of cells. One is lymphocytes and monocytes. Okay, see here, you should know that this monocytes, so totally 5 types of WBC we can see, and in the monocytes, this monocyte, whenever it is streaming in the blood, we can call that particular cell as a monocyte. If it is reaching the body, if it is reaching any organ, we can call them as the macrophages. And if the macrophages, if it is present in the liver, we can call them as the Kupffer cells. Okay, if it is present in the brain, we can call them as a microglial cells. If it is present in the kidney, we can call them as the somewhat different cells. Okay, so if it is present in the lungs, we can call them as the alveolar macrophages. So based on the location, these macrophages can be called according to it. Okay, see here, they have asking 4 mononuclear phagocytes, and before that you should know what is exactly the function of the macrophages. Okay, so the macrophages are doing the function of phagocytosis process. Phagocytosis in the sense the process of engulfing the microorganism and digesting the microorganism so that the macrophages are preventing the body from the infection. So this is what the phagocytosis process. Okay, now they have asking that any 4 mononuclear phagocytes, and monocytes, mononuclear, mono in the sense single, nuclear means one nucleus per cell. Okay, so monocytes, macrophages, Kupffer cells in liver, and microglial cells in brain. So all these are coming under the mononuclear phagocytes. Okay, now, what are the complement proteins? Complement proteins, so as the name suggests, it is a protein. Okay, and complement proteins, they are nothing but a plasma proteins that enhance the ability of the antibodies and phagocytes to clear the microbes and damaged cells. They play a role in inflammation and cell lysis. Okay, see here. See, we are having lymphocytes. Okay, so in the lymphocytes, we are having two different types of cells. One is T cell and B cell. Okay, so in B cell, further it is differentiated into plasma cell and memory cell. Okay, and this plasma cell is the one responsible for producing the antibody, and the memory cell is the one remembering the process of a process of the attacking mechanism whenever the microorganism enter into the body for the first time. Okay, so when the microorganism enter into our body takes some time to analyze the mechanism of the microorganism and it will kill. Okay, but see, whenever the same microorganism enter into our body for the second time, this memory cells remember the process, how we are going to attack this, how we have attacked this microorganism when it entered for the first time. Okay, so this is what exactly the memory cells function. Okay, now here comes to the complement proteins. The questions is with respect to the complement proteins, and they are saying that this complement proteins are the plasma proteins that enhance the ability of antibodies and phagocytes to clear the microbes. Anyhow, the plasma cells, they are going to synthesize antibodies, and this plasma proteins are enhancing the ability of this antibodies and phagocytes to clear the microbes. Okay, again, antibody is going to kill the microorganism, and phagocytic cells like macrophages, they are also going to eliminate the microorganisms. Okay, so the complement proteins are the plasma proteins beside the immune system. There are certain immune cells which are going to attacking the microorganisms, no doubt about that. So in addition to all these mechanisms, this complement proteins is enhancing the ability of the antibodies to clear the microorganism as well as the damaged cells. Okay, so they play a crucial role. Say for an example, whenever the mosquito bite us, okay, whenever the mosquito bite us, and when you wake up in the morning, you have a lot of inflammation in your hand or like wherever the mosquito bite will be. So the inflammation is a symbol where our immune system is attacking against the antigen entered by the mosquito. Okay, so this is what, so these complement proteins play an important role in inflammation and cell lysis process. Okay, so this is very important question. Now, colostrum is very much essential for the newborn infants. Okay, colostrum is very essential for the newborn infants, of course, no doubt in that, and we have to justify the statement. Okay, see, colostrum is rich in antibodies, especially see, so as we have mentioned before, plasma proteins is responsible for synthesizing an antibody, and this antibody is also called as an immunoglobulin, and we are having 5 different types of antibody: antibody A, antibody D, antibody M, and antibody E, and antibody G. These are all the 5 different types of antibody, and the antibody which is present in the secretions are called as the, which antibody is present in the secretions, and that will be IgA. Secretions like milk, that is the colostrum, saliva, tears, and all these secretions are having an antibody which is IgA, right? So the colostrum, which is rich in the antibodies that provide a passive immunity to the newborn. Passive in the sense, so the immunity which is synthesized in our body is called as an active immunity. If it is synthesized in one body and it is passive passively, without any without any energy loss, easily it will be taking from the another body. So that is what passive. Here the colostrum is synthesized. See here, the cholesterol is synthesizing in the body of the mother, and it has been entered into the body of the baby. Okay, so this is what, if anything, if any antibody, any proteins which is synthesized in one body and it will be transferred to another body, then it is called as a passive. If that immunity has been synthesized in our own body, that will be considered as an active immunity. Okay, so here the colostrum is synthesized in the body of the mother and it has been entered into the body of the baby, so we can call them as a passive immunity. Okay, to the newborn, protecting against the infection during the early life. Okay, see, for whenever the baby is coming out from the body of the mother, it will be survived only by taking the mother's milk. Okay, so you should know, the mother's milk contains all the required nutrients for the baby, so that is why the baby can withstand against all the infections. Okay, so for the early life, this colostrum, mother's milk, is the only source of food for the newborn. Okay, so this colostrum is very, very important for the newborn infants. Okay, the next question is, mention various types of immunological disorders. See, you should know what are all the immunological disorders. If the immunity and the immune system is not functioning properly, it leads to disorders. Okay, and the first disorder will be the autoimmune disorders. Okay, so autoimmune disorders. Now, what is meant by autoimmune disorders? If the immune system can't identify whether that will be the self cells or non-self cells. If the immune system can't identify whether it is a self cell or non-self cell, then it leads to autoimmune disorders. Okay, auto means self, immunity means the immune system is fighting against the own cells. Okay, that is called as an autoimmunity. So the immune system fails to distinguish the self cells and the non cells, so this leads to an autoimmune disorders. And the best example for autoimmune disease will be the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, and also the allergies is also the immunological disorder. Immunodeficiency disorders. Immunodeficiency disorders, we can say that as a SCID. Okay, severe combined immunodeficiency disease, so this can be considered as an immunological disorder. And graft rejection, so this is also an immunological disorder. So these are all the various types of immunological disorders. Now, what are autoimmune disorders? Give any two examples. So just now we have studied, these are all the if the immune system fails to distinguish whether it is a self cell or non-self cell, it leads to autoimmune disorders. Okay, so this autoimmune disorders occurs when the immune system attacks the body's own tissues. Okay, see here, the autoimmune disorders occur when the immune system attacks the body's own tissues, then it is called as a autoimmune disorder. Okay, now, the examples of this autoimmune disorders will be the rheumatoid arthritis and the myasthenia gravis. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis and the myasthenia gravis. Okay, so this is called as an autoimmune disorders. Now, how can the graft rejections be avoided in patients? See, the graft rejection can be avoided by immunosuppressive drugs and ensuring tissue compatibility before the donor and the recipient. See here, the graft rejection can be avoided. See, whenever, if the kidney has been, this is the donor and this is the recipient, the donor is donating his kidney to the recipient. Okay, now here comes the tissue rejection. during organ transplantation. See, if any, even it is a small dust, if it is enter into the body from the atmosphere, we tend to sneeze. Okay, for a dust our immune system has responded that much higher. So think about the organ which is taking from one body to the another body, definitely there will be the rejection, even though the blood has been matched, even though the tissue has been matched. Okay, so even though the blood and the tissue has been matched, again that leads to a graft rejections. Okay, so see, the kidney has been taken from one body and it has been inserted to the recipient's body. Now the immediately after that, the recipient has been injected the immunosuppressive drugs. Why? Because the kidney has been affected by the a person's immune system. So if we suppress the immune system, the immune system can't reject the kidney cells. Okay, so that is what the graft rejection can be avoided by using the immunosuppressive drugs and ensuring the tissue compatibility between the donor and the recipient. By suppressing the immune system of the recipient's body, we can reduce the graft rejection. Okay, now, what will be the difference between this innate immunity and acquired immunity? See, innate immunity means it presents from the birth. So, whenever the newborn baby has been born, so immediately after that, the baby of the body of the baby has their innate immunity. Okay, so and we have studied what are all the innate immunity and what are acquired immunity has been studied in the long answer questions itself. Okay. So it presents from the birth and developed after exposure. The acquired immunity has been developed only after a person has been exposed to any infections. If a person exposed to any infections and our immune cells, that is our T cells and B cells, is getting activated, and B cells is going to differentiate into plasma cells, and it will produce the antibodies. Okay, so this is what the procedure. Okay, so only after the exposure to infections, a person's body has been acquired the immunity, and that immunity is called as an acquired immunity. Okay, and if the person's body has been if the immunity has been present in the person's person at the time of birth itself, then that type of immunity is called as the innate immunity. Okay, and the specificity, see, when compared to this innate immunity and acquired immunity, you have to know the specificity, which type of immunity is more specific and which immunity is less specific. See here, in innate immunity, it is non-specific in nature. Okay, it is non-specific, and the acquired immunity is highly specific in nature. Okay, so it is highly specific and it is non-specific in case of acquired and the innate immunity. See, the memory cells, the innate immunity has no memory and the acquired immunity has memory cells. See here, so the innate immunity, just whenever the infection is entering into the body, it will fight against the infection. Then if it is an acquired immunity, so when the microorganisms when the microorganisms enter into the body for the first time, the body will take some time to analyze the mechanism of the body, and only after that, when the same microorganisms enter into the body for the second time, the memory cells will remember the process, how we have fight against this microorganism when it entered for the first time. And this is what the speciality of the acquired immunity. It has a memory cells, and this innate immunity have no memory cells within it. Okay, and the examples of this innate immunity, they are having the skin mucous membrane, so they are considered as an innate immunity. See, the skin is present in the newborn baby. Okay, so as the skin is also functioning as an immune organ, immunological organ. How? So the pH of the skin, okay, the pH of the skin is not find a suitable environment for most of the microorganisms. So immediately after when microorganism make contact with our skin, the skin will not provide a proper environment and the microorganisms can be degraded. So it prevent the microorganisms at the time of entry itself. Okay, so that is what the skin is, we are calling the skin is coming under the innate immunity. Now this mucous membrane, so the just remember this texture of the mucous membrane, it will be very sticky. So like in the same way, the microorganism will stick to that mucus and it has been eliminated from the body. Okay, Now, acquired immunity, they are having T cells and the B cells. If the T cells and B cells are involved, then we are calling that particular immunity as an acquired immunity. So, these are all the basic difference between the innate immunity and the acquired immunity. Okay. Now, so that's all about the short answer questions in case of immune system. Now comes to the very shorts in the human reproductive system. Okay. So the first important question will be, what are the functions of Sertoli cells of the seminiferous tubules and the Leydig cells in man? Okay, see here, the Sertoli cells is providing the nourishment to developing sperm cells and form the blood testis barrier. Okay, see here the functions of Sertoli cells. The Sertoli cells provides nourishment to developing sperm cells and form the blood testis barrier. So we are having two different types of cells in the male reproductive system. One is Sertoli cells and another one is Leydig cells. So Sertoli cells Sertoli cells is the one providing nourishment to the developing sperm cells and form the blood testis barrier. See here, so the sperm cells has been produced from the seminiferous tubule. Now immediately after the sperm cells have been developed, so the sperm cells need a nutrient for their growth, and that nourishment has been provided by the Sertoli cells. Okay, now Leydig cells. So the Leydig cells is the one responsible for secreting the male sex hormone called as an androgens like the testosterone. Okay, so which regulates the male secondary sexual characteristics and the spermatogenesis. Okay, see here. So this is what an important thing. The secretion of a hormone testosterone was done by which cells? Leydig cells. Okay, so this Leydig cell, this testosterone is the one regulating the male secondary sexual character and the spermatogenesis. So we are having three different types of words. That is, one is spermatogenesis and another one is spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis and another word is permeation. Okay, see, from the sperm mother cell, if the spermatids have been formed, then this process is called as a spermatogenesis. The spermatids, they are differentiated into sperm, and that is called as the spermiogenesis. Okay, and spermiation means the excretion of sperm cells from the seminiferous tubules, and that is called as the spermiation process. Okay, now see here, the release of sperm cells from the seminiferous tubules, and that process is called as the spermiation. So this is the two important cells, the Sertoli cells and another one is Leydig cells. These are all the functions of these two cells. Okay, now, so just now I have explained you that is the spermiogenesis and the spermatid. See, spermatogenesis in the sense the sperm mother cells is producing the spermatids, and that process is called as a spermatogenesis. And the spermiogenesis in the sense the spermatids have been differentiated, I mean the transformation of spermatids to the mature sperm, and that process is called as a spermiogenesis. Okay, now spermiation means the release of spermatozoa from the Sertoli cells into the lumen of the seminiferous tubules. See, the Sertoli cells, inside the Sertoli cells, the spermatozoa has been there. Okay, so from the Sertoli cells, the spermatozoa has been released, and it is released into the seminiferous tubules lumen, space in the seminiferous tubule. So this release of sperms from the Sertoli cells to the seminiferous tubules, this process is called as the spermiation process. Okay. Now, name the yellow mass of cells accumulated in the empty follicle after the ovulation. Name the hormone secreted by it and what is its function. See, the question has been asked regarding the follicle. Okay, in the ovulation process. So in the ovulation process, there is an empty follicle. So in the empty follicle, the yellow mass of cells has been accumulated. Now what is the name of that yellow mass of cells? And another one is, name the hormone secreted by this empty follicle and what is the function of the hormone secreted by it. So but before that, you should know there is a menstrual cycle. So in the menstrual cycle, we are having 4 different phases. First phase will be the menstrual phase, and the second phase is called as a follicular phase, and the third phase is called as a luteal phase, and the third phase is called as an ovulatory phase, and the fourth phase is called as a luteal phase. Okay, so this ovulation phase, that is the third phase, is called as a ovulatory phase, and in the day of 14. Okay, so in the day of 14, the ovulation process has been taking place. 14 plus or minus 4. Okay, so this phase is called as an ovulatory phase. See, the follicles has been matured, and we are calling them as the matured Graafian follicle. Okay, and in this matured Graafian follicle, inside the matured Graafian follicle, we are having a ovum. Okay, so many ovum will be present inside the mature Graafian follicle. Okay, now at the time of this ovulatory phase, this mature Graafian follicle has been releasing one ovum outside. Okay, so the release of ovum from the mature Graafian follicle, this particular process is called as a ovulation. Now, immediate after the release of this ovum from the mature Graafian follicle, this is called as an empty follicle, and in this empty follicle there is an accumulation of this yellow mass of cells, and this yellow mass of cells, we are calling them as the corpus luteum. Okay, and this corpus luteum is an important structure because it is the one responsible for secreting the hormone called as the progesterone, and this progesterone maintaining the strength of the endometrium. That is, in the uterus we are having three different types of layers. One is outer ectometrium, myometrium, and the endometrium. So this endometrium is very important for carrying the baby. Okay, for the implantation of the embryo, implantation of the zygote, the endometrium is very important. Okay, the zygote is getting implanted in the endometrium only. Okay, so in the endometrium, so for that the endometrium has to be strong. Okay, so the endometrium strength has been determined by the hormone called as the progesterone. Okay, now this progesterone hormone, this is the one maintaining the strength of the endometrium for implantation and supports the early pregnancy. So this is what the yellow mass of cells, and that structure is called as a corpus luteum. Now this is the one responsible for secreting the hormone called as a progesterone, and progesterone is very important for maintaining the strength of this endometrium where the zygote is getting implanted and it is developed into an embryo, that is the fetus. Okay, so this is very important question. Now the fourth question will be, define the gestation period. Okay, the gestation period, what is the duration of the gestation period in the human beings? Okay, see, the gestation period is the time between the fertilization and the birth. Okay, see here, fertilization means the fusion of male gamete and the female gamete is called as the fertilization. Okay, so this is the gestation period. Right, now in humans it lasts about 280 days or 9 months. Okay, so in the gestation period, so gestation period means the child is present in the body of the mother for up to 9 months. So that 9-month period is called as a gestation period. Okay, so which means the fertilization means what? As I mentioned before, the fusion of male gamete and the female gamete is called as a fertilization. So we need after the fertilization, before the birth, that period is called as the gestation period. In humans the gestation period is 280 days. Okay, see here, 280 days means what? 1 month have 4 weeks. So 4 weeks in 4 into 7 means 28 for approximately, and 280 days divided by 280 days, so we can call them as the 9 months approximately. Okay, so it is not 10 months the child will be present in the mother. Okay, so it is 9 months, that is the 280 days, right? Now, what is menstrual cycle? Which hormone regulates the menstrual cycle? See, the menstrual cycle is the monthly cycle of the changes present in the female reproductive system preparing for the pregnancy. See here, if the male gamete and the female gamete, if it fuse, then it is called as a fertilization. It means the pregnancy period. Okay. Now, if the female gamete, if it not meets any male gamete, then there will be no fusion, no fertilization. Then the ovulatory process, the release of ovum will be taking place, and the ovum has to be disintegrate. Okay, if not fertilized, it has to be disintegrate, and the disintegration process we are calling them as a menstrual cycle. It will be eliminated from the body in the form of blood. Okay, now the menstrual cycle is a monthly cycle. We know that it is taking place in the female reproductive system if not fertilized, if not fertilization have been taking place. Okay, now this has been regulated by this the hormone which is involving in regulating the cycle is follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen and progesterone. All these hormone is plays a crucial role in maintaining this monthly cycle. Now, what is capacitation of sperms? The sperm has been entered into the female reproductive tract and it has to be capacitized before it is going to fertilize the egg. Okay. Now, what is meant by this capacitation process? See, this capacitation is the functional maturation of ovum. See, and you should know this capacitation has been taking place only in the female reproductive tract. Okay. So, only after the capacitation has been done, we can come in to know that the sperm has been functionally matured and enabling them to penetrate and fertilize the ovum. Only after the capacitation has been capacitation process has been done, the sperm has the capacity to penetrate and fertilize the ovum. So this is very important and you should know this is the after this process the sperm has been matured and this capacitation has been done within the female reproductive tract, right? Now see here, this is what the very short with respect to the reproduction, human reproduction. Now we are going to discuss about the reproductive health. Okay, so the first question is what are the measures one has to take place to prevent the contracting STDs? See, contacting STDs means what? STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. So as the name suggests, these type of diseases have been transmitted from one person to another person through unprotected sex. Okay, so how can we prevent this STDs? Okay, see, avoid multiple sexual partners. So this multiple sex partners means what? If one person has been made contact with many sexual partners, they have been, if anyone have this sexually transmitted disease, immediately after that this person is also getting affected. So we have to avoid multiple sexual partners and use condoms during the intercourse. This is the most important thing. Usage of contraceptives and maintain the personal hygiene. Seek prompt medical attention if infected, if he is infected and medical attention is needed. Now, what in your view are reasons for the population explosion, especially in India? So, decline in death rate due to medical advancements. Due to medical advancements, the death rate has been reduced. So, see here, once upon a time, the population has been reached in a peak. Okay. So, now we are in a first position with respect to the population. So why we have to in population explosion, why we have to control the population explosion? See here, due to the what is the reason for this population explosion? See, earlier our great grandfather and all those period, so one couple they are having 10 to 15 childs. Okay, so they prefer to have more child. Why? Because at that time many children will die due to infection. Nowadays we are having many medical advancements. Okay, so due to the medical advancements we can increase the life expectancy of a particular person, and this is the reason for population explosion. Okay, now early marriage and childbearing. Early marriage means what? It may be when early 20s. Okay, so early marriage leads to early childbearing. Okay, now lack of awareness about the contraceptive methods. Okay, so the contraceptions are getting, nowadays it is not like that. It in earlier period, once upon a time there is a more population explosion will be there. At that time there will be no awareness about the contraceptive methods and desire of male children and large families, and this is the greatest chaotic situation. See, in large families, many families would prefer to have the male children to carry the lineage. Okay, so that is why they tend to elongate their pregnancy, right? Now it is true that MTP is not meant for population control. Then why did the government of India legalize MTP? So you should know what is mean by MTP. Okay, medical termination of pregnancy. Okay, so this MTP is nothing but medical termination of pregnancy. See, it prevent the unsafe abortions. Okay, prevent the unsafe abortions and protect the health and life to the pregnant woman, allow termination in cases of fetal abnormalities or rape. Okay, see here, prevent unsafe abortion. Say for an example, if a female is getting pregnant, okay, now at that time, so if the doctors have been identified some abnormalities in the fetus, so it will be dangerous for both the mother as well as the child if the child continue her pregnancy. Okay, so if the children's condition, if the child's condition, that is if the fetus condition, if he or she have any chromosomal abnormalities, it is not necessary to bear the child, said by the government of India. Okay, so that is why this MTP has been legalized in the government of India only with respect to any abnormalities has been found. Okay, and it is not with respect to the preferring to girl child and preferring to a boy child. So it is not like that. Okay, it is also having many safety measures to avoid the prenatal sex. Okay, see here, prevent unsafe abortions and protect the health and life of the pregnant woman, allow termination of cases in case of fetal abnormalities or in case of this rape condition. Okay, now what is amniocentesis? Name any two disorders that can be detected by the amniocentesis. So amniocentesis means, consider this is the body of the female and this is the baby. Okay, so this in this baby, this is the uterus and this uterus having the baby, and this baby, and it is surrounded by an amnion layer, and in the amnion layer they are having an amniotic fluid. Okay, and this amniotic fluid contains the cells, the dead cells of the child. Okay, and if we take the amniotic fluid and if we analyze the fluid, we can easily come to know in case any abnormalities experienced by the children. Okay, this amniocentesis is prenatal diagnostic technique where the amniotic fluid is withdrawn to detect the genetic diseases, and this amniocentesis has been helps to identify the Down syndrome and the hemophilia. Okay, so these are all the two important chromosomal disorders we can came to know by through the process of this amniocentesis, just by taking the amniotic fluid, and we are detecting whether it will be any genetic disorders or not. Okay, now, mention the advantages of this lactational amenorrhea method. See here, this lactational amenorrhea immediately after the child has been born. So here it is a natural method of contraception during the breastfeeding. Okay, so this lactational amenorrhea means at this time the male will not menstruate, the female will not menstruate. Okay, so this is the so they are saying this lactational amenorrhea means, in the sense the child is feeding, the feeding period of the female. Okay, so they are considering that feeding period of the female as a natural method of contraception during the breastfeeding. Okay, there will be no side effects, useful in spacing births during the first 6 months postpartum. Okay, useful in spacing the births. Okay, so this is what the for the first 6 months of the after the postpartum period. So that's why we are saying this lactational amenorrhea will be the advantage period. Okay, so we'll stop up to this. We'll continue on the tomorrow's class. Okay.